And welcome to another...
Why did he say take one?
Because we might have...
It's always one take. And then last time he didn't do it, and now he's back to not doing it.
Not a problem, Jackie. Welcome to...
Sorry, I just had a stint. Okay.
Welcome to another episode of Stand Up Memories. Jackie the Joke Man Martling. I am Peter Bales, and our guest is so special. Comedian, warm-up comic, actor, and many other things, Joey Kola.
All around nice guy. There's never been a bad word said about Joey. I said a few myself, but I've never heard any.
In fact, I teach a comedy class called Stand Up University here on Long Island. So if you're starting
We're going to do the show, you're just going to plug
I'm going to plug my standupuniversity.com, but I quote Joey to my new comedian students. And Joey told me, and I'll never forget this, and a lot of people have heard me quote you. Your parents had such a big influence on you, and they passed, and you believe that in continuing to keep them alive in your act, you are honoring them. And it actually gives you a sense of comfort sometimes.
That's not just beautiful, but I'm sure that's really, really, it's like having
Totally.
photos or 8mm movies. This is like,
yeah,
this
I mean,
is an
you
animation.
know I'm a spiritual guy.
Right.
And I believe in the Holy Spirit, and then it lives through you, through your words, through your eyes, through your hair, through every weapon in your arsenal that you use.
Right.
And if I can keep them alive and have them here while I'm talking to an audience, when I'm at my highest, because you guys know when you're killing, it's
You're floating.
times 1,000.
You're floating.
You're floating. You can't.
And I love his father because his father thought I was funny.
Yeah, he loved you. Loved you.
So Bale's like, keep him alive.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep him alive, keep him alive. But, you know, and Joey does a great impression of his dad.
Oh, this is it right here. Yeah, how about a cup of coffee? You want to get a cup of coffee? Let's have some coffee. Let's have a burger and a cup of coffee, and then get some pizza and a cup of coffee. Let's get a cappuccino and a cup of coffee to go with a cappuccino.
Oh, that's
Drinking coffee with anything. Just all coffee.
Now, one time he was doing, or you were doing, and he was helping you some home renovations, and there was a beam that he apparently thought was not necessary. Is that
I got 4 steel beams in my basement holding up one steel beam that holds up the house. And I wanted to make room in the basement. So my father said, you don't need 4. You could use 3. I said, Dad, I don't know if you could. 3 of them will hold up the house. Everything's fine. So he comes over and we take this one pole out and everything's fine for about 2 weeks. And then after that, we start seeing cracks in the wall.
Oh, that's great.
We start hearing creaking, and I'm like, oh my God, the house is going to fall down. I had 2 different engineers come to the house to say, it's okay because that beam is steel, but the house is going to settle. So, yeah, that happened too.
All right, so your mom is your Italian side.
Mom is the Italian side, yeah. And I grew up, you know, my Uncle Ralph used to play guitar. My Uncle Angelo would tell jokes. And, you know, at all our family gatherings, there was everybody coming from the city to Long Island, and big family parties, whether it was Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever.
And the Germans are sitting there like this?
Well, no, the Germans, they were singing and jumping and dancing and everything. And my father and my mother were always singing and dancing. There was a lot of love. It was like Billy Crystal's 700 Sundays.
Right,
You remember
Yes,
that?
I do.
It was a big family. Everybody sang and so my uncle gave a 4-year-old a microphone. Tell a joke, Joey. Sing a song, Joey. Not only to me, to my cousin Timmy plays phenomenal guitar to this day. And my other cousins sing and stuff, you know. So that was where I learned. And then when I got through high school, I hung around with a bunch of guys who were all funny. And then I saw that documentary about Pips by Seth Schultz, and I said, maybe I can do this. So I went down to the clubs.
In high school, were you doing drama or plays or singing in the chorus?
Not really in high school, but Suffolk Community College. I did a couple plays in Suffolk, and then I went to CW Post and had a minor in theater.
And Joey took the same course twice by accident
Didn't
and
even know it.
got a lower grade the second
Got a
time.
low grade.
Oh, that's a beauty.
That's how into school I was.
That's a beauty.
Now, tell everybody, currently in your career, you are using your Italian side with the guys that you're performing around the country with.
I'm working with the Sopranos.
He is.
Yeah,
He really is.
It's me emceeing the show. I do
With like Sharippa and those guys?
Me, Steve Sharippa, Mike Imperioli, and Vinny Pastore. It's called In Conversation with the Sopranos. Some theaters call it comedy and conversation with The Sopranos. So I do 15, 20 minutes up front, set the table,
Yes.
and then we show videos of each character, and then we come to the stage with about 14 questions from the internet that they, popular questions from the internet that they answer. Was there any celebrities that come to the stage? What about the food?
Frequently asked questions.
Yeah, we do. We answer those, and then we turn the mics over to the audience, and I run the Q&A from the stage, and it lasts about 2 hours, and it's hot. We're selling out theaters all over the country. We had 17 shows in Europe that got canceled because of the pandemic. They had to go to Australia without me because I was busy doing warm-up. So they did 4 shows in Australia. But we got Canada booked. We got Pennsylvania.
So
coming up.
Sopranos I never knew if it was international or not.
Oh,
yeah.
all over the world.
Really?
They sold out. They could have sold 100 shows in Australia. All over the world. And it's terrific.
Are these guys funny?
Yes. Yeah, they're very funny, but they also, people want to know about every nuance of every episode. They want to know what happened to the Russian guy in the Pine Barrens scene. They want to know
The devil's in the details.
Oh, big time. They want to know what happened behind the scenes. They want to know, and it's Vinny Pastore who played Big Pussy. It's Steve Sciarippa, Bobby Bacala, and it's Mike Imperioli who played Christopher Moltisanti. These characters are huge, and Rolling Stone just said that The Sopranos is the greatest television show of all time.
It was so crazy because I used to work at the Riviera
Right.
the whole 90s
For
when
Sciarippa.
we were red hot. And I'd fill up the top of the Riv, and Sciarippa was the entertainment director. And he'd always say, Jackie, every time there's shooting here, TV, movies, whatever, I'd go and they give them all tickets and give them all dinner and whatever they wanted, and I'd try, and then he'd say, I'm in this movie, and then the next time I came back, he said, I wound up on the cutting room floor, and he's doing all this.
Right.
And finally, he gets this role in The Sopranos, and I see The Sopranos, he's the size of a house. And I'm like, I was just at the Riviera. How did he gain that kind of weight? But he was wearing a fat suit, but he's such a big guy with such a big neck. It looked absolutely, you would have never guessed in a million years.
Right.
You know?
Well, he's much thinner now because he's got his role on Blue Bloods now. So he's much thinner. And Mike's actually a Buddhist who's a vegetarian. So we're starting to eat like him on the road now. And,
He's a good influence?
He's a very good influence.
Do some audience members think these actors are actually the characters they played?
Yeah, they do. Like when remember we used to warm up the soap stars?
Yes.
Remember the soap stars come to the club and the people would stand up. Why did you divorce? Leslie, when you should have been married to Jimmy and blah blah blah. And they think they're talking to the character.
The first I got wind of that, I remember reading 40 years ago, was what Vince, I forget the guy's name, but he'd go to parties at the Playboy Mansion, and he played Ben Casey. And people say, how come my arm hurts? Say, lady, I'm an actor. I play a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm not a
So
doctor.
we try to steer them in a way where questions for all the guys, not just one, and ask the question to the actor about the character. Because we get people that show up, depends on where you are. Like we were just in Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, and that's Sopranos territory.
Right, that's home base.
And that's home base. And they care about the every little, like I said, detail of the story.
Yeah.
But we were in Youngstown, Ohio. We were on Long Island and Westbury. Hey, I got a question. How come when I saw you on the Belt Parkway and rolled my window down, tried to give you a meatball hero, you didn't take it? I'm like, next question.
Jesus.
Nothing about the show, nothing. So you never know who's going to ask a question and how, or their state of, some of them come to the shows drunk or high or
But
whatever.
that's the beauty of it.
That's the beauty
The
of it. You
unknown.
keep it, yeah. And they roll with it great. It's always funny. It's always great.
Now, I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is a guy, Joey Kola, who raises butterflies.
Yes.
You think he's,
Wait a
this
minute.
tough comedian. He does. He raises butterflies.
This is what I do. I open up for Sopranos. I open up Rachael Ray, Drew Barrymore. I do stand up. I feed birds. I plant plants, and I raise butterflies in the summer. That's what I
He
do.
does.
Do you have one of those rooms where you walk in and they land on you? And
None of that. None of that. But if you plant parsley for the black swallowtail, it finds it, lays the egg, the caterpillar hatches, eats the parsley, becomes a cocoon, a chrysalis, and then hatches. The monarch, you plant milkweed. Every butterfly has its own host plant. And because if we don't do it, they're going to be gone off the planet. I want my grandkids someday, hopefully, to be able to witness butterflies.
I am waiting
You
for
don't
Alan.
give a crap.
I'm waiting for Alan
You
Fun.
don't give a crap about butterflies.
I care less
You
than
don't
that.
care. You
I
care
care-
about bluefish in Bayville.
I hate
That's what
bluefish.
that's all
If
you
Alan
care
Fun
about.
was here, he would be coming in going, what Peter and Jackie don't know is Joey is making up this story about raising butterflies just to pull their periwinkle.
Periwinkle.
The
Absolutely
monarch, the I saw on YouTube the other day, not YouTube, on TikTok.
Right.
I do TikTok jokes, and there's a butterfly called the leaf.
The leaf.
The butterfly closes up, and it's a leaf. It looks like a
Yeah,
leaf.
well, that's what nature does. It gives it camouflage so it doesn't get eaten by other things. Depending on the host plant. Like the black swallowtail, if the host plant is parsley, birds eat it because it's not poison. But they don't eat the monarch because the host plant is milkweed and it's poison. If they eat the butterfly, they're going to die. So the leaf probably looks like a leaf. Peter, you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, this
what,
is
what
actually...
if the predator likes to eat leaves?
This is my fault. I brought it up. This is my fault. You guys are
I
both
hate
excited. No,
to
you're
say
both
it.
You
excited.
went from The Sopranos.
I know, I went to the
No, but I hate to
wanted-
say it, but this is honestly fascinating.
It is fascinating.
I was just being a
I'm
jerk.
telling you.
And I wanted people to know that Joey has a softer side.
I have a soft
He
side.
does. He has a very soft
Softer
side.
than the butterfly
Yeah,
thing?
no,
I'm
well,
telling
that's
you,
pretty
I have
soft.
a very soft side.
He's a
I'm
very spiritual guy.
spiritually-
You're spiritual
Yeah.
and you're soft. And now this I wanted to talk about. This is a Long Island show. You have a long friendship with Kevin James, and you've done a lot of work with
Yes.
him. And that's all good, right? That's a positive.
Yeah, it's a positive thing. Kevin used to, when I knew him from the clubs,
Yeah.
I used to have a Wednesday night. I felt when he moved on to his fame, I was one of many that fell into my own Wednesday night at Governor's. And I would put on 20, 30 comedians, and Gary Valentine, Kevin James, Judd Apatow,
Yes.
Ian Edwards, many comedians.
Who was
got
the
started.
first? Who was the first MC to ever introduce Judd Apatow on stage at Chuckles in Mineola?
Probably
That would
you.
be me.
That would be you.
That
Yeah,
would be me.
probably you.
Yes.
You know, I remember.
I saw him recently, and he remembers us all. He took a picture with
That's
me
nice.
and everything.
That's really nice.
I can remember almost every dirt bomb gig and everybody I ever met in this. And Minervini was in Grown Ups too, and Chris Rock and Kevin James and all these guys were all there, and you know them all. But I never have met Adam Sandler. And I said, finally, we're at the party afterwards. They had the screening and then big party. And I said, I finally got to go over and say, and I went over and say, hey, Adam, I'm Jackie Marling. We never met. He says, I opened up for you at some bar. I had booked him.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
The one guy that I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Yeah, but that's a cool part of this
That
business
is.
too.
That is.
Kevin played Santa Claus to my kids. Years ago, I had a show called Mowbray Street Cafe Comedy by the Bay in Bayshore. Adam Sandler came in as a young kid. Said, "Hey, Mr. Cole, you mind if I do 5 minutes?" You did the show. You did the
I
show.
remember the
And,
Mowbray Cafe.
and
God.
he did 5 minutes there. Chris Rock opened up for me at Laughs in East Quogue out east.
wow.
I got a great Jimmy Fallon story if we got time.
Tell
to hear
it.
Do we have time?
Yes.
All right, so I'm warming up the Rosie O'Donnell Show on the 8th floor of 30 Rock.
He's our
And
neighbor
I-
now. You
and
know
I-
that.
Jimmy Fallon?
Jimmy Fallon moved to right across from Friends Academy.
So I'm walking down the hall, and I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turn around, and it's Jimmy Fallon. So I go, "Hey, Jimmy, how you doing?" He goes, "You don't remember me, do you?" I said, "You Jimmy Fallon from Saturday Night Live." He goes, No. You don't remember what happened." And then he proceeds to tell me that back in the day, he was 17 years old. I was working, remember the Comedy Works in Albany?
Yes.
When it was at the comedy?
Of course,
When
of
it was
course.
at that Comfort Inn on the side of the 87? So I'm
That was
headlining-
Nick, whose son Nick took over. Or Tom
Nicky.
Nicky. I know Nick something.
But Big Tom wasn't there at the time, and he had somebody else managing the club for him that night. So there's 2 other comics on the show and the manager. So this kid comes in. He's 17. He's got a troll doll and a guitar. His dad is there. So he goes, "Hey, Mr. Cole, you mind if I do 5 minutes?" I said, "I got no problem with that." But it was a Saturday night, sold out. So the other 2 comics go, I don't want him going on. He's going to eat into my time, this kid. And then the manager goes, no, not tonight. So I said, do me a favor, just sit there. Just have a seat right there. Watch. So the other 2 comics go on. I go on. In the middle of a 45-minute set, I go, I got to go to the bathroom, but I got a friend who's going to entertain you, Jimmy Fallon. He comes up with his Troll Dolls guitar, bombs for 5 minutes. But I put him on. A year later, same thing, because he's from Saugerties, New York, upstate.
Right, he's from right there.
So a year later, same thing happens at Bananas in Poughkeepsie, but it's Harlan and Arlene Jamieson who run that club.
Yep.
And they were friends with him. So they go, Joe, you mind? I said, yeah, let me bring him up. I did it a year ago, I guess. So I forgot about it. So I bring him up. He gets a little bit better. He does like 10 minutes, and then I don't see him. Cut to 17 years later, he's tapping me on the shoulder, telling me this story. And he said to me, when I get a show, I'm putting you on. And I said, Jimmy, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Just do Saturday Night Live. It's all cool. So 2 years after that, I'm at the Toronto Comedy Festival, and I'm talking to like Schimmel and a bunch of other people. And he comes running up to me, and he goes, I'm getting a show. I'm going to put you on. And I said, get the show and then call me. Sure enough, he got the show, called me April 1st, 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, he was nice to me back in the day. He's nice to me now. This is his CD. Welcome, Joey Kola. And he put me on.
Oh,
Isn't that
that's
a great
great.
story?
That is a great
My wife
story.
was with me. He gave us a tour at 30 Rock and everything. Just great. And whenever I see him now, he's just the greatest.
That is a nice,
Isn't that a nice
that
story?
is a nice
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
That's a far cry from, I told it on the show already, but he came up to, when Howard Stern was running for governor, we all
Right.
went up to Albany.
Right.
And he was a young guy who wanted to do comedy, and he was a big Stern fan, so he came looking for us. And I didn't know any of this, but people used to say, I want to be a comedian. And I used to say, quit. Because what else are you going to say? And if that slows you down,
Yeah.
you haven't got what it takes.
Exactly.
So he calls up to promote Almost Famous on the Stern Show, and Howard's like, oh, you never came on the show, Joey. On the show, Jimmy. And he goes, yeah, it's nice to talk to you guys. I'm such a big fan. He said, but I did meet Jackie once. And Howard says, really? He says, yeah, you guys came up to Albany, and I wanted to meet you. And I found out what hotel you were in, and I went in, and I'm looking around, and sure enough, Jackie was at the bar. I went up to him, and I said, I want to be a comedian, and he told me to quit. And every time I've seen him, he told me what a great story that is.
Oh, my God.
And how
that's
great
funny.
it'll be on the show, but unlike you, I can't get through. So I don't have a happy ending to it. But that's a great,
Well,
you know.
you know what? I used to put a lot of young comedians on. I learned that from you.
Yeah.
I learned that from you. I learned it. I mean, no one helped other comedians more than you guys. And Richard Jenny took me under his wing. And the great Richie Minervini, I owe my life and my career to him. You know, and then Don Marrera helped me. And
When me
you
and
know,
Minervini started Cinnamon,
right?
Rich Jenny, it took him 3 times on stage before we booked him. He was so bad. He came
Really?
to I say governors. Came to Cinnamon 3 times. I mean,
Yeah.
it was horrible.
Yeah.
And he became the funniest guy in the world.
Yeah,
You know.
it took him a while to get the number of the room. That was what
Sadly, the late Rich Jenny.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Joe Rogan on his podcast told a Rich Jenny story, and I was a part of it. He said I was with this other comic, Peter Bales, and we were at the
Boyles.
East. He calls me Boyles, and Peter Bales. And we were at the East Side Comedy one weekend, and Rich Jenny was headlining, and he had to do 2 shows. And Joe Rogan and I witnessed Rich Jenny do 4 hours killing and not repeating one
He was
thing.
amazing.
That's-
He was
that's like-
unbelievable.
That is, you have no
that's a
idea
scary brand.
how amazing that is. And speaking,
is.
What's even more
yeah.
amazing
speaking
is,
of amazing, that's perfect.
is what?
We
got through another show.
We got through another
without me
show.
hurting you.
Yes, that's true. And
Tell me
next
you're a
week,
professor.
I'm a professor.
Tell me you have a comedy class.
I have a comedy class, and
That's about it.
I quote both of you to the young comedians coming up. Joey to help them, and you as a warning.
Quit. Say quit.
Next week, a special treat, because Joey has a better half, someone who keeps his life together.
David Brenner.
No, it's not David Brenner. It is the lovely Leonora Kola.
world, my
this
whole
is
world.
this is a first. Joey Kola's wife, Leonora, coming on stage, and she never does this. Next week is going to be a lot of fun.
Breaking ground.
Yes, we're breaking ground. I have been Peter Bales. You have been.
Wait a minute. It's not only her first time on a show, it's the first time we've had a
woman on the show, and we've got to have a lot more women on the show.
I got so many texts, but you guys are so sexist.
Oh my
Seriously?
God.
Yeah,
Really?
like where are the women? Where are the women?
We're going to
So here's a. Oh.
So many problems.
Anyway, this has been terrific. Next week is going to be so much fun. Peter Bales, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, and of course, Joey Kola.
Cut me out.
Please.
Hey, a new episode of Stand Up Memories every Wednesday.
How exciting is that?
Starring me, Peter Bales, and right here, Jackie the Joke Man Martling.
Please follow us on social media. Search it out. What is it? Me Space?
MySpace,
Your Space?
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Doodah, doodah.